Hi guys, my name's Alana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Mental Health with Alana. If you're new here, please subscribe, press the like button and give this video, press the bell notification so you know every time I post a video, so you'll be notified. And if you'd like to check out my Instagram, I'll put it up here on the screen. This is my mental health account and my disability account. If you like to follow my business, Care Boxes by Alana, and purchase a sensory box, you can follow my Instagram up here. And yeah, if you like to buy one, then just DM me and I can sort that out for you. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about BPD symptoms, but specifically BPD and fear of abandonment. This is something that a symptom that I've struggled with having BPD myself, borderline personality disorder, or also known as EUPD, unstable personality disorder. I think that's in the UK, but here in Australia we just still call it borderline personality disorder. But fear of abandonment is one of the symptoms of having BPD. Now, this has caused me a lot of problems in my life, also because I was bullied quite a lot, and because I was bullied, it made me already have quite a lot of rejection issues. Also, sorry about the noise, there's just planes flying over our house. If you can hear a noise, that's what it is. Yeah, but because I was bullied so much as a kid and as a teenager, and even as an adult, I was often left out of things and not included. It made my fear of abandonment quite bad. And I also had instances growing up which were like traumatic situations where I felt fear of abandonment, and felt like my parents or parent didn't, how would I say this, like they didn't know how to be present. They couldn't be present and they couldn't be there because of their own stuff going on. That was traumatic for them and then traumatic for me. So because of those experiences, it often leads into having fear of abandonment, which is basically where you're scared that people are gonna leave you, and it can make you do you can either go one way where you cut off the relationship very quickly and you put a stop to it and you leave before anyone else can leave you, or you cling on to the other person and hold on to them really tightly because you're scared they're going to leave you, and you always are asking for reassurance and like asking them like, do you still want to be my friend, or do you still actually love me, or are you still wanting to be in a relationship with me? And this can happen whether it's like a romantic partner, it can be parental situation, it could be family, it could be with friends. Like this goes across basically all relationships, and it is quite persistent. Like it happens very regularly, and there's like a pattern of it. And with me, I often feel like my friends don't actually want to be friends with me, and I just assume that they don't actually want to be my friend and that they're just being my friend to be nice, and that they don't actually want to be my friend or get to know me. Or I get really panicked and think that the person is going to leave me and not be my friend anymore. When people move away, I find it extremely hard and very triggering because I feel like they're abandoning me. And even though I can keep in contact via like messages or, video call, it's still really triggering because I feel like they're physically leaving me. And it is quite hard because like I've got a friend who's like my best friend who's moving to a whole other state that's not close to where I am. And yes, I can go visit the person and they can visit me, but it's quite like difficult to deal with because it's a big thing for me, because it's like, obviously I'm gonna miss them heaps, but it's also like fear of abandonment, because I feel like they're abandoning me. And they're not doing that on purpose, but like that's how I feel. And fear of abandonment can make you have a lot of problems with relationships, because you're always obsessing over the fact, like, is this person really my friend? Is this person actually like gonna stay around? Are they gonna leave me? Did I do something to upset them? You know, like, you really sit there and overthink it and think about like, did I say something wrong? Are they just going to ghost me or stop being my friend? And I think when you've had situations where people have done that to you, it makes it worse, because it reinforces the idea that this other person in your life is going to do that. So, like, an example that I had that I never picked up on until I saw a psychiatrist like about a month ago. And this psychiatrist was going through like some of my like history. It was just a different psychiatrist, because I'm under the public system and you don't know who you're going to get. You just get different psychiatrists all the time. But I had this psychiatrist, and I could tell she was going through the BPD criteria. Even though I'm already diagnosed with it, I could tell where she was going, because I know the BPD criteria and I know that I have it. And she was kind of asking me questions that were alluding to it. But she was asking about like fear of abandonment, but she asked it in like a way of, she was kind of like, oh, like, have you ever felt, you know, really rejected, or like fear of abandonment, like people are gonna leave you? And I was like, because I was telling her some of my background history, like from when I was a child, like very young. And my, basically, this is leading into somewhere, it's to a point. I'm yeah, so I'm an identical triplet, and me and my sisters were born 27 and a half weeks gestation. So because we were born so premature, like that's very premature, and then there's 3 of us, we were very small and our lungs hadn't developed properly. Our like there was a bunch of things that hadn't, you know, properly developed. I don't know that, I can't remember like details of my other 2 sisters. I just know with me I had like chronic lung disease and stuff, and my lungs weren't developed and all of these things. And my 2 sisters, so Lauren and Caitlin, ended up passing away. Like, I would say one of them passed away like 4 months after we were born, and then I think the other one passed away maybe like August. So we were born on the 29th of April in 2000. So yeah, something like that. Anyway, I don't know the details, but I'm terrible with numbers. The point is that it was traumatic for my parents because they lost 2 children. It was traumatic, very, very traumatic for me, and has had really massive, long-lasting effects on me. I've actually made a whole video on this if you're interested in hearing the whole story. But I'm sharing this because the main reason I have such fear of abandonment is for 2 reasons. One is because my sisters ended up passing away, and I felt like they had left me and they had abandoned me and left me here by myself. And I felt almost angry at them. How dare you leave me? Because they got to be together. Like, I believe in heaven and stuff, and like, you know, they got to be together, and I was like left here separated from them, like abandoned by them. Even though obviously in logical terms they couldn't decide whether they were going to live or die. That wasn't within their own ability. And so this has caused me major problems, And also, because of this situation happening and the trauma, my mom ended up having quite bad postnatal depression, and which, you know, was pretty normal considering she went through major trauma of losing 2 children, and then she had me, who she had to look after, and there's a bunch of medical stuff that my parents had to do for me. When I was like the first year of my life, I was on like a feeding tube and everything, and they had to do all that, and they didn't have anyone really to support them or help them, especially my mom. And my mom got very bad depression and was stuck in bed all the time and very depressed. And I must have been around maybe 1 or 2, and I would apparently come into the, I don't have memory of this, but she said that I would come into the room and like just stare at her and try to like get her to come and play with me, and she would just tell me to go away. And obviously I'm not blaming my mom. Like, as an adult, I can see that she was suffering from like terrible grief and like postnatal depression, and I've been depressed, like I know how horrible it is. And it wasn't her fault, but because of that, the psychiatrist was pointing out that that was like a pretty big deal, and that would have caused a lot of fear of abandonment, because I felt rejected and abandoned by my mother, like that she wasn't being there to like nurture me and to play with me and to look after me. And so that was also another reason. And the reason why I'm sharing these 2 stories is to kind of show you that like often with BPD, it doesn't always happen because of trauma, but often it comes from people who have had quite traumatic childhoods, and the symptoms are often a result of trauma and things that have happened to you. Not always, but in some cases. And for me, I feel like my BPD has definitely come out of trauma and out of things that have happened to me as a child, and even like early teens. And the reason why I'm like sharing this is because I think that a lot of the time this fear of abandonment is actually coming from a deeper place, and it's coming from a place of people leaving you or abandoning you or rejecting you, and it is not your fault that you feel like this, and you may behave in ways that are like not the best. Maybe you, like I said, you may cut off people, you may just ghost people or cut them off like out of your life, you know, do certain things that are pushing that person away, when really, when you're pushing that person away, you actually don't want them to leave. And it's like Demi Lovato has this song called I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, and that song describes BPD so much. Like, go listen to that song if you've never heard it. But it's in the song, the lyrics are like, when they love me, they leave me. And it's like, when you have BPD, everything is so amplified, like your emotions and your thoughts, your feelings, and you're scared that if someone loves you that they're going to leave you, and you won't know how to handle that. And people often in relationships threaten to unalive themselves if the other person leaves, because they're trying to hold on to that person so much that they don't know what else to do. So they threaten that because they're like, I don't know what I would do if you leave me. And when people do leave you, it causes a lot of distress, like more than what the more than what the general person would feel. You experience that rejection and that emotion way more over the top than someone who doesn't have borderline personality disorder. So I've also had situations like with friends where I've had like best friends who I thought were like my best friend and who I shared everything with, and then they just completely cut me off. I had one person do that to me, and it took me years and years to get over that. Like, it was so hurtful, and the way they did it was so horrible. it was just like really, really damaging to me, and it took me a long time to get over it. So I've really had this happen to me a lot when it comes to friends, when it comes to even, like I said, with my mom, like just different people in my life. So it would make sense that you have a fear of abandonment. Like, it makes sense. And I think when you actually get to the root of the problem, you will often see that it's coming from a place of trauma, or situations where you have been left alone. And it can be a lot when you're a child and that is happening to you. And your brain doesn't know how to sort through that or cope with those feelings, or deal with it. So that becomes a pattern in your life that you don't even notice a lot of the time, where you just do these actions and behaviors, and you do very drastic things to avoid the abandonment. Like I said, some people threaten to unalive. I heard of a story of a lady who, I'll never forget the story because it felt very relatable. She had a breakup and her partner left her, and he was a writer, like an author, and he had just put out a book. She went to the bookstore and she grabbed all of the books that he had written and was standing there ripping the pages out of every single book in the bookstore that he had wrote. And because she was so mad and angry and upset that he had left her. And that is like a prime example of like what people may do. People may do that. Like this was in like public, in broad daylight, but people do drastic things to avoid being abandoned. And when they are abandoned, they get really angry and really upset. But it's because they've most likely had some horrible things happen to them in their life, and this is the only way they know how to cope, and that's the way that they behave. So fear of abandonment is something you can work on, and I think it's something you can definitely get better at managing. Like, I feel like I have got better at managing, but I still always have thoughts with my friends, questioning whether they really are my friends, whether they really want to be my friend. I always have a fear of people moving away, of people leaving me. If they don't message me and it's been a certain amount of time, I start to get really stressed that I've done something to upset them, or that they've left me, or that they don't want to be my friend. Like, it's still something that I deal with. It's just that I don't really do the outward actions, like that lady, for instance, ripping out pages in the middle of a bookstore. I don't do those things. But that's just because, for me, it doesn't come out in that way. And I've never been in a romantic relationship, so I can't tell you how that would happen if that did happen to me either. I don't know how I would behave because I haven't been through that. So yeah, this is just based off my experience, and I hope that this made sense. I'm also sorry about the noise. There's planes flying over, and there's also the washing machine is on. I'm always apologizing for the noise, because there's always something happening. There's either people talking in the background, the washing machine, the planes outside, the neighbors, something. But yeah, I hope this video was relatable. Well, it's not that I want you to be able to relate to it, because it's not the best time to experience these things. Like, it's not really nice to experience these things. But if you do have BPD, I hope that maybe you feel less alone, and that you feel like someone actually gets it and has been through this as well. So thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for supporting me. Please subscribe, like, and I hope to see you in my next video.